Well, I almost got ahead of you a little bit too much. I've done some work on the sketch now. Things are a little more organized. Still really leaving the design out of the water. Not worried too much about the sky. Really the land masses. So I've taken some cobalt blue, alizarin crimson, and a bit of white to wash in these distant hills. So you just blocked it in. Not too worried about design. And then a little bit of burnt sienna and cobalt, and cobalt blue to start to block in the spires, those trees in the distance. And on the closer trees, beginning to put some form to them. Okay, so that's just where we are right now. Today is going to be mostly just the labor of washing in the painting. I don't know whether it's going to be a brush painting or a knife painting. I guess we'll see soon enough. I guess you can hear water running in the background. I'm not sure. It's just raining steadily today. Makes me constantly want to have to go to the washroom. That's okay. We'll ignore that. So I'm just outlining a combination of, what is it, yellow ochre, alizarin crimson, raw umber, a bit of cobalt blue. So it's sort of a dirtyish purple. Just shaping, just putting in my forms here. Trying to give a pretty firm indication of where all this foreground bush is. Again, you know, some of my charcoal lines right now, as you can see, I'm ignoring. I'm being quite selective as to which ones I use. Okay, so that's more or less it. Now I'm just going to add yellow ochre to that mixture and a little bit of alizarin crimson. So it's still a dirty purple, but it's a warmer dirty purple. I don't mind if it's a bit muddy. It's an underlay. There will be brighter purples and oranges and reds painted over it. Now, the light is coming from this direction, sort of at that angle. It's a fairly low light. So, everything behind this bush not going to catch much light at all. Shoot that too. It's behind that tree. Plus, it is sort of the layer of bush behind this foreground, so I'll keep it toned down. Okay, that's good for that one. Now here, I'll probably go dark on all of it because I want to have the option of leaving the entire bush here in the shade. Okay, I'll just mix up a little more, a little lighter now, and a little bit cleaner. Not much, but this next color I'm going to add. Okay, now it is what? It's alizarin crimson, yellow ochre, and a hint of cobalt blue. No raw umber. So just a tad lighter, but still, you'd say what you would say really is not higher in volume too much, but higher in chroma. even though these bushes are in the distance, this is the focal area, so I want a little higher chroma back in here. See how I have thinned the paint off to be like a stain, but it is still quite a bit. It's still very opaque, you know, so I'm not really letting the white of the canvas show through very much. And a hint more yellow ochre just to knock it down a touch in chroma, a very small amount. And we'll use that here. I don't know if the camera is picking up the subtleties in the color and the variation of color. I hope it is. Whoops, I'm kind of messing up my drawing there. Okay, that's fine. Okay, now I'm going to take it up another notch. Avoiding the cobalt blue completely, I'm adding to my pile just yellow ochre, and that's all. So it's dirtied a little bit with what's left in my pile. You know, it's kind of like what I was talking about a while ago, like the mother color study, or mother color exercise. You know, this is still a mother color because essentially I'm playing with a combination of raw umber, cobalt blue, alizarin crimson, yellow ochre, no white yet. But so that's kind of my mass, and I keep shifting the amounts of these various colors as I choose. As I go lighter, I'm dispensing with the blues and the raw umber, then going more with a little more alizarin crimson. Now I've just added yellow ochre into it, so it's not a bright yellow ochre, but it's still a notch up from the bush that is behind it. I'm not worrying about putting, you know, in these blocks, these areas, I'm not worrying about varying the color too much. You know, this being a block, this being a block, this being a block. Within that block, I don't concern myself too much with varying the color. You know, purely because it is a wash-in. My wash-in, my guide. I'm looking at it now and I think, yeah, I might have even still gone a little too high in value on that one, on this one. It's okay, maybe not. Okay, now I'll take that same color and we'll go back in here a little bit. Again, it's not much. It's really not much brighter than the bush behind it, but it is. It is a little bit. Okay, adding more yellow ochre. These are the areas that the sun is going to hit. So I can afford to go fairly light, because when I put its final layer of color on here, they will be the most intense areas. Okay, so that's the deciduous bush. I'm just going to take raw umber and a bit of cobalt blue and draw in and paint in the rocks. Then I'm going to take ultramarine blue and burnt sienna, which will be my darkest green on the canvas. It's going to look almost black on the canvas, obviously. And then I'll paint in these spires, these here as well. Okay, back to you in a bit. Well, I blocked my trees in. This is going to be kind of a long video, but I thought I would draw in my rocks, the outlines of my rocks on video. It's Saturday. Hopefully I get it uploaded early enough that you guys have enough time to watch things a little bit. So, outlining my rocks, I am just using the dark stuff that was in, the outlining of the trees, the burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, my standby, if it's a bit messy, don't worry about it. Frankly, that's very hypocritical of me to say, because when things are messy, I always worry about it. Which is not necessarily a good thing. Not if we're supposed to be artistes. We're supposed to be flamboyant and just sort of throw things on there without worrying too much about anything. Unfortunately, that's not in my character. Okay, what do we got here? Put that one there, and I don't know if you notice, I'm rolling my brush. Sometimes I want more of the flat side. Sometimes I want more of the thin side. Another advantage of using a flat brush. It has its downsides too, but like anything, every tool has downsides and upsides. of like this little teardrop that I put in here, so I'll do that as well. And give that a bit of a face. Yeah, okay, not too many lines. Not too many lines. And I kind of like this. It's not going to stay, but I kind of like how it sits in there. Now, that could end up being another sort of rock in the foreground of this little collection here. Okay, that one goes down like that. Okay, I'm not going to do these distant rocks using the same color. That is just going to be too harsh. Now I'm going to go into straight raw umber. And I will be using, likely, mostly, straight raw umber to wash in, or to draw in these distant rocks. So I'm kind of killing the intensity of it right now. With that blob of raw umber, and I'll take that raw umber now, and that bit of stone is going to be in the shade. So is this. I don't believe you can see this on camera. Once the paint thinner has dried out of the paint, the raw, it'll really begin to show up that you've got raw umber in there. That's a little dark shadow. That's also fairly dark there as well. Okay, something like that. We'll go over this side. That's dark shadow. This will be mostly in the shadow. Actually, the entire rocky point here will be in the shadow. So I'll leave that fairly dark. That one as well. That too. Again, if I'm going too dark, that's fine. Easier to lighten it up than it is to lay dark paint over it later. This will, simply because it's on the edge of the canvas, I want this one fairly dark too. I want to keep it relatively inconsequential. Okay, so I'm going to go back into my raw umber now. Am I even recording right now? Oh yes, I am. Okay. We'll go along here and put our shoreline base in. Painting in those shapes. Now I'm using a kind of a largish brush for these small shapes. I'm not going to worry about it. These things will get refined as the painting comes together. If you have a new brush, it's pretty easy to get sharper lines, but I'm not going to worry about it. There's no point in that. Again, that's the beauty of a wash-in. It's far more forgiving than the final painting. Okay, now the bit of raw umber I just used was still contaminated with a little ultramarine blue. Now I'm just going, I've used that up mostly. Now it's indeed purely raw umber and a bit of turpentine. Or I should just call it thinner, because everybody, well, not everybody, but you know, everybody, or people use all kinds of different thinners. Each to his own. There are many types that work. Again, I know you're not seeing that it's much lighter right now. The camera doesn't really show it, but it is, in fact, when it dries up, it will show as much lighter and browner. This branch, I don't know why I did that in brown. That should be a little darker. Okay, that'll do. I'll wipe that little bit off my brush. Okay, back to our raw umber. I just put a pretty good pile of raw umber on my palette because I'm going to need a lot of it for the sky. A lot of gray in the sky, a lot of gray in the water. So that's quite a bit of area to cover. Okay, there are all of our solid forms. I think I'll leave it at that for now, guys. I may work on the sky and the water tonight. I may post that tomorrow, but this is all I'll post for today. I'd kind of like to get the video published because being Saturday, I think, I'm just going to guess here, but a lot of people might spend Saturday afternoon doing some painting themselves, so maybe this is a more of a useful time for me to post it. Anyway, I'll try to do that soon. Have a good day. See ya. Thanks.